Hello fellow Bengal fans, it's Forever Bengals. Going to grade the AFC North on the season this year. I'm basing the grading off of expectations versus what actually happened. Now, if a team met expectations, then they automatically get a higher grade. Actually, they make their grade of an A. They get an A, whether it be an A minus, A plus. You meet expectations, you get it. For instance, the Baltimore Ravens, they were expected to finish second in the season and be in the hunt for the wild card with a possible playoff appearance. They've met expectations, so they would get an A. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they were looked at as being, repeaters for the Super Bowl because they had 18 to 22 starters coming back. They had one starter go down at the beginning of the year, but they still haven't, they've missed the playoffs completely. So it's hard to give them an A and say that they've made what they, they met up with expectations. So here we go. I'll start off with Baltimore Ravens. Obviously, since they have, they've met expectations, they get an A. They get an A. Whether they get an A plus or not remains to be seen. Now, if they beat the New England Patriots, then they get an A plus, and they'll be able to move on to the next round of the playoffs. So, congratulations for your playoff, for the playoffs, and for meeting expectations and possibly being able to exceed expectations. Now, the Pittsburgh Steelers, I have to give you a C. You get a C, mainly because, again, expectations, you guys were supposed to be the repeaters. You were supposed to go make it to the playoffs as possibly as a 1 or 2 seed, and maybe even a 3 seed. But no one predicted that you'd be out of the playoffs completely this year at the beginning of the year. No one predicted that. They all expected you to repeat and go far and get 7 Lombardis and stuff like that. But this year just wasn't your year. You did good. You put up a valiant effort at the end there to almost make it. All you needed was for Baltimore to lose, Denver to lose, Houston to lose, and the Jets to lose. And of course, that wasn't going to happen. It seemed, from watching the games, it just wasn't going to happen. I don't believe it was because we were afraid. Any team was afraid of the Steelers. I just think that that's just the way the cards fell. The Browns, it's going to be hard to grade them. I'm going to give them a D because, they actually met expectations as well. Everyone figured they'd be at the bottom of the, the division and everything. But they didn't quite. So they met expectations, and it wasn't hard for them to do better than that. But they don't get an F or anything because, like I said, they met expectations, and they actually exceeded expectations by ending the season on a 4-game win streak. I think it's the first time they've done that since they came back to the NFL. So, props to Browns, to the Browns organization for coming away with at least a win in a pretty bad season. So, again, it's hard to really grade them because they met the expectations. And I think if they would have had a better record, they would have been higher. So I give them a D, and I'm kind of leaning on giving them a C because of the way they fought in a lot of their games. Even though the season was done, they still fought hard, and they've had a couple really close wins and one really close tie. So I'm going to say that they get they've got a D plus, possibly a C minus. Bengals, you get your expectations, the expectations for the Cincinnati Bengals from everybody except for Bill Cowher, because Bill Cowher actually had them going to the playoffs, but everybody else had us behind Baltimore and Pittsburgh. They figured that we'd end third in the season, and that we probably wouldn't make the playoffs. And here we are, division champs, going to the playoffs. We ended on a sour note, though. We lost to the Jets, but I'm not sure how much of that was by design or how much of that was just bad playing on our behalf. So let's just say that for right now, since you did exceed expectations so much, you get an A plus. Now, if you play the Jets and you lose to them, if you become one and done in the playoffs, then I would actually have to lower that A plus down to maybe an A minus, because you still get an A for being, for exceeding expectations. But once you've exceeded those expectations, you didn't quite do much else with it. So that's my grading of the season. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people who agree and disagree with that, and can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. Again, the way I graded it was expectation versus what actually happened. And that is why, the Steelers, they're the ones that were probably the easiest to grade due to the fact that, they didn't quite make the playoffs, though they came close. So that I'll leave it at that. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say, and if you agree or disagree. Forever Bengals, and I'm out.